Yeah, go for it. The feeling's mutual. Honestly, my life was kind of boring before I found the artifact. I had a steady gig as a miner, plenty of friends at Argos, and your run-of-the-mill UC family. Wild how fast things change, isn't it? Hell, before you showed up, I'd never even had a job where I worked above ground. Makes me wonder how things would be different if I never found the artifact in the first place. You're kidding, right? It's you. Meeting you is by far and away the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. Unless you've made this trip before, I'm willing to bet that I'm the only person in existence who's ever met a version of themselves from another universe. Meeting you even makes finding the artifact seem normal by comparison. Yeah, sometimes. It wasn't an exciting life, but it was mine, you know? I knew what to expect when I woke up every morning. I don't feel like that so much anymore. Universe hopping and space magic aren't exactly my areas of expertise. I'm still trying to figure out where I fit into this whole thing. I try not to let it keep me up at night, but that's easier said than done. I'm sure you get it. You've had a way stranger journey than I have. Yeah, I do. Our parents are alive and well in this universe. They were merchants for years, but they've retired in New Atlantis now. My siblings and I grew up on their ship. Spacefaring must run in the family, too. All three of us ended up taking jobs in the space lanes. Yeah, it's weird for me, too. I keep forgetting that just because we're different versions of the same person doesn't mean that you know everything about me. But honestly, I'm kind of glad mind reading isn't one of those starborn powers of yours. Yeah, I do. My siblings and I grew up on their ship. Spacefaring must run in the family, too. All three of us ended up taking jobs in the space lanes. My sister's name is Elise. She's the family badass. She joined SysDev as soon as she was old enough, and now she hunts pirates for a living. My other sibling's named Pierce. They're an engineer aboard a long-haul cargo ship. The three of us are real close. They're my best friends in the whole world. Yeah, sure will. Their story's pretty sappy. They were childhood sweethearts, but they lost touch when my mom's family moved away from Jemison. They reconnected years later during a piloting class at Mast. Since they were both interested in becoming merchants, they decided to go into business together. After the class, they bought a ship together, and the rest is history. 3 kids and a couple decades later, and they're still the happiest couple I know. My brother and sister would probably freak out. The 3 of us are really close growing up. Meeting my duplicate would probably throw them for a loop. Dad's a stoic guy. He'd probably take it in stride. I don't think I've ever seen anything really surprise him. And Mom would love you. If you promised to visit her more than I do, she'd probably like you even more than me. I'm sorry to hear things weren't the same in the universe where you came from. No hard feelings, I hope? It was mostly Supervisor Lynn's doing. Argos wasn't my first mining job. When Lynn and I met, I was mining for Deimos near Sidonia. 5 years on Mars, churning out ore for the UC military was more than enough for me. I met Lynn and Heller at the Broken Spear one night, and we got to talking. Lynn said she'd beat my Deimos salary, and that if I worked with Argos, I'd get to travel more. It seemed like too good an opportunity to pass up, so I took it. I'm not surprised. I can't imagine Lynn being any different even in another universe. She's a good woman. I would have worked for her for the rest of my life if the artifact and Constellation hadn't come into play. It was mostly 5 years on Mars. Lynn said she'd beat my day. For me, it was. The work was hard, the pay was crap, and the way Deimos treated us miners rubbed me the wrong way. I was happy to get out of there. I did. Heller and I got along, and Lynn was a good boss. She was tough, but only when we needed it. It beat the hell out of working for Deimos, that's for sure. I go back and forth. I enjoyed mining for Argos, even though I wasn't with them very long. I think I could have been a lifer if it weren't for that artifact. But it's hard to regret finding it after what I saw when I touched it. I mean, you get it, right? I've never experienced anything like that in my life. It changed me. Hopefully for the better. I'll see you later. It's always nice to see a friend. That's fine by me, boss. So many. I think I'm still getting used to this whole traveling with myself thing. This is kind of an obvious one, but I've been wondering what you think the biggest difference is between our universes. And I bet you were bored all the time, right? I mean, I am the funny one. What about your family? I'm pretty close with my parents. Are you? Were you? Really? Huh. As far as I know, that's not something we have in common. Either that or my parents have some explaining to do. Let's see, what else? Ah, here's a good one. If our roles were reversed and I was the Starborn instead, would you have joined my crew? That's why I took it. I figure I'm the only person in history who's ever gotten an offer like that. Passing it up seemed like a bad call. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're the captain and I'm the crewmate. You're a way better pilot than me. If I was at the helm, the ship would be a pile of scrap on some uninhabited moon by now. I have one more question for you, if you're up for it. Did you ever miss your home universe? That must be tough. I hope you don't regret it too much. If it makes things any easier, I'm really happy you're here. Hey, thanks a lot for letting me ask you this stuff. Getting to know you better makes this whole traveling with myself thing a lot easier for me. Maybe next time you can tell me more about yourself.